I
Okay.
don't have a strong
All right,
feeling
all
one
right.
way or the other, so.
Sherry, multiples or
Okay,
or
so
not?
my opinion is that we would interview the top 3, excluding Reynolds. And my whole reason for that is because I don't like that they didn't bid. They didn't provide the cost. That was part of the requirement. Everybody else, well, with the exception to this one also, but that's not high enough scoring to me. So I would say Dewey, EI, and Crabtree and Warbuck. I would want to interview those 3.
Okay.
And I'm solid on that. I will
Okay.
not
All right.
support Barry Isaac
Okay.
or Reynolds.
Well, Barry's got a very high project fee cost structure.
Exactly.
Anyway, Peter, what are you thinking?
No more than 3.
No more than 3. All right. And do you have any favorites in this?
Well, I agree
in
with
this
you,
course?
Mrs. Thompson.
Okay.
Both Mr. Isaac's firm and Reynolds are out for me, and it's because of work they've done or not done for the GoTech.
Okay. Are you okay with Crabtree, Dewey, and EI?
Yes, I don't have any negative experience with any of this.
Okay.
I don't have any experience, admittedly, with Crabtree and Rohrbach.
Okay.
I know the name, and that's all.
Okay. Dave?
I'm okay with the top 3.
Top 3? And same top 3?
Same top 3.
Okay. And I'm going to agree with that from my side.
But if you look at the top 3, it depends what criteria you're looking at, because if you look at their prices at the bottom, Remington and Vernick would be in your top 3. And then there's other subjective material that's going into those numbers when you're looking at the bottom numbers. So if everyone seems to be saying they don't want to support the first one and the last one, why don't we just do those 4? Because I feel like the numbers, depending on what you look at, some of them are lower in some things. And, you know, I don't think that that tally at the bottom is representative of where these companies fall.
Did
Because then
Remington
you're
and Vernick
eliminating the
also
third
not-
lowest price when you look at the bottom there.
I chose the average based on they gave that span.
Right, but that's not what you asked them to do, right?
Some people did, like Dewey, I don't know that we said
No.
give us one number.
No.
We said give us the cost for capital projects. Some people are trying to make it more affordable for smaller projects, and it just increases as the scope of the project increases. So I would say it is fair to give some kind of scale. I don't think they identified it the same way Dewey did, 0 to
Okay.
300,
They
or
didn't
0 to
give a
100,
range.
3 and up, right. They
Okay.
just said, here's the range. And we
Okay.
can get them to clarify that. But again, they go up to 10 as well.
Okay.
And then the hourly rate then, you know, is different, you know, when you're looking at the top 4, when you're looking at, every single one is different as far as which one would fall into the top 3. I feel like they're very interchangeable. And you may interview one of them and that one may, you know, when you listen to the way that they're figuring it out and their numbers and calculate it, it may work out better.
I got 5 that want to do the top 3.
But what is the top 3?
We've
Do you want us to go
The
back
score,
and name
the-
the top 3?
We've-
Well, I'm just saying.
Everybody's named
You're
the top 3.
looking at the bottom, well, if,
I am
but
looking
you're
at the
also
bottom.
saying, well, it's not fair to use the criteria about references, and you could do that for multiple things through it. So are you using your top 3 with your references or
I
without your
removed
references?
Reynolds
I'm
from that.
excluding the
I removed
outside,
Barry
too.
Isaac from that, okay?
Just from
Because,
negative feedback.
because Reynolds, Remington and Vernick.
That has nothing to do with top 3, we're talking about top 3.
All right, but, I mean, the only one, if you remove the references.
I'm saying that they didn't count for me.
Yeah, that's.
So-
I'm not even talking about those 2. You said you didn't want those 2, there's 4 left. I'm saying of the 4 left, depending on which criteria you look at, different ones would be top 3. That's all I was saying.
No.
Mm-mm.
Top 3 is still the top 3.
Top 3, the aggregate number still comes out.
I don't understand what you're
It's
saying,
still
I'm
top
sorry.
58.99.
If you look at if you look at the bottom, if you look at the criteria for the cheapest for the project, right? The cheapest, the
Are you talking
EI
about
would be a higher price.
That's only 20% of the weighting.
Right, some of the
I'm
weighting
looking
is
at-
references and other things that go through it is
The
my
bottom
point.
line.
Some of it is, did they describe our
understand.
work the way that we want them to describe it?
Mhm.
So what I'm saying is it depends what criteria you're looking
So I
at.
got 5 that want to look at 3.
From a
And
process
And I
standpoint,
got
Mr.
1 that wants to
Harper,
look at 4.
is it possible to have
Sorry.
conversations. So if we did 3,
What I'm
And it-
saying is you're eliminating one of the ones that charges less money by doing the top 3 of the bottom numbers. That's what I'm saying.
I don't see how. They're charging 8.5% on the project. Remington and Vernick is 8.5% on the project. How are they the cheapest?
And EI is 9.5.
And there were other factors in their numbers.
Well, right, that's why I'm saying the 4 of them are so close that depending on which one of these line items you look at,
I got 5 people
They're
that want to do
different
3 and 1 that wants to do 4. So,
I'm saying that I don't know that you would necessarily pick the same 3.
yeah.
Mr.
Okay.
Harper.
So who would you pick, Meg? Let's get the feedback. I got 5 people.
Maybe we should just go around and say
did a-
who we want to interview.
I've got that. Everybody
Okay.
said the same.
Okay.
Crabtree, Dewey, and EI. And that's what, 1, 2, 3, 4 on that side. I'm in agreement with it.
So just to be clear, you guys all said you don't want an architectural firm, and you've eliminated.
No,
I never
no,
excluded
I did
an
not say
architectural
that.
firm.
no.
You said you didn't want architecture, you wanted it to be engineering,
Me, I
No.
said that.
but we're interviewing 2 architecture and 1 engineering, so you've eliminated all the other engineering firms.
When did I say that?
No, I said that in my mind, I would rate an engineering firm over.
So you don't want to compare
Oh,
a second engineering firm at all?
I don't.
I'm good
I mean,
where we are.
Again, I don't really have a strong feeling one way or the other, but, and you have many people who only want to do 3.
I think you gotta consider opportunity costs when it comes to the time spent in interviewing
Yes,
these.
we're looking at 4
I feel like it's
hours.
Well,
gonna
this is a
end up
big
being
job,
expensive.
so
I understand that, but I think that.
I think they're all willing to put in the time, because I think we want to make sure, this is a huge,
No, not them.
this is a
really.
huge,
Oh, no,
yeah,
I'm
but
not
this,
talking about that.
this is a huge decision, and you don't put this out for an RFP frequently. So when you only have 6 people coming in, and you have these small differences, and you're gonna pick 3 out of a hat, and decide that that person's gonna be an engineer for
I don't think that it's
the
so
engineer
random
going
that
No,
we
forward.
pick it
no.
out of a
I
hat.
just think,
Nobody's picking random.
Can
I
ask a
just
question?
think that you're making a big decision, and I would want to do my due diligence.
If we do 3, it has to be on 2 nights anyway? We're not
Yeah.
gonna do 3 on one night?
No.
Or are we gonna do all 3 on one night?
I would suggest
So
not.
then do 2 on one night and 2 on. Because at that point, you're already,
You mean
Into 2
to
nights.
compromise?
you're already there for 2 nights. But although I'll say the point
I'm not
about
changing my
the,
stance.
That's fine. I would be willing to do the 2
I
and
get what you're
2,
saying.
but I won't come for the other 2. I'm gonna tell you that right now. You do 6, I won't come for the other 2. I'm not interested.
I think that's pretty clear.
I
That
believe the 2
Reynolds and
outside
ISIT
ones
are.
The 2 outsiders, I'm not,
Those are
I'm not, I
non-starters
won't,
for too
no.
many people.
I'm
I'm
So
not even,
Yeah.
I'm not
that would
interested.
be, you know what,
But
talk about,
I don't like that they also did.
well, they did, they gave an average, they're not
So-
saying.
They just charge it differently. They don't charge the same way.
They were giving them, they were giving an average over what
So-
their projects have been. It's not like
All
these
right.
guys that were saying,
Mr.
we're
Harper,
gonna.
Folks?
Well, just
Yeah.
classify
okay, I see
Crabtree
what you're
as an
saying.
architectural,
But
Dewey's
still,
engineering,
they're low.
EI is engineering.
Well, it's primarily architectural.
Architectural, yeah. Remington is engineering.
Well,
Just
sure,
want to
that-
make
if
sure,
they're
just want to
saying-
make sure, so we're speaking.
Let me look at their.
So you got 2 and 2.
statutes.
You got
They
2
say
architects and 2 engineers.
2 different nights.
Yep.
I guess it wouldn't be.
See, then I can twist in my head and say 4 is
Right.
acceptable.
Peter, can you live with the 2 and 2?
If that's what the majority want.
Dave?
I'm okay with that, because that's why I want to clarify how, because we didn't really clarify
Mhm.
doing EI.
Megan?
So if we
Can you
have
live with the 2 and 2?
architectural companies and 2
Okay.
engineering companies, I'm fine
All right,
with that.
can we'll go that direction.
What did we say?
2 and 2.
2 and 2.
The middle 4.
Okay.
The middle 4.
Just like Chuck Woodward.
So Crabtree and EI are architectural-based companies that would outsource the engineering side of it.
That's as I
And
understand.
Dewey and Remington would be the engineering companies outsourcing the
Architectural side.
Perfect.
I do not know how EI will present themselves.
Gotcha.
their website says a full-service architectural design and engineering firm. So I don't know what they would call themselves, and I don't know what they primarily do, but they put both words on their website, probably on purpose, right?
Yep.
But, so I don't want us to box them in, because I don't know them from anybody,
For
but,
years,
so
they've
that,
advertised in the PSBA literature as an architect.
there you go,
Just
so.
telling you what they've said over the years, right? They
All
may
right.
have morphed into something else, or decided that they can make more money by
Well, I mean, that's
adding
true,
staff.
maybe
More
they've
business.
done something different.
So what
Okay.
I would like to suggest from a scheduling standpoint, and Mr. Harper, Mr. Dahlberg, please, I'm taking this off the top of my head, so, we could plan for 2 of them for the next facility finance evening, right? Because that's an hour and a half to 2 hours from that standpoint. I think when we're describing to them, we say to them 30-minute presentation, 15 minutes for questions and answers, and hold the extra 15 minutes to our benefit
for
if we
us,
want to
right.
continue conversation. But then at the end of 45 minutes, we could end it, so maybe we don't have to do 2 hours for 2 presentations if we get the information we need. But I think we tell them 30-minute presentation. Is that fair in terms of the history that you've had with other things like this? That's enough time for
I'll
them to
try
present their
extend it with
information.
my experience.
Sure,
Like,
okay. I'm a good timekeeper, so don't worry.
Can you
So
tell them
that-
that they get a 20-minute presentation, so that we expect to be listening to them for 30 to?
Well, I would be very honest with them and
No.
tell them a half an hour.
Because I'm interested to see, can they stick to it?
And cut them off.
And then we will look at the rest of May to see whether there are committees that we could shorten on other nights and maybe add it to an already set committee night.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because like last night, you did 3 committees in 34 minutes, and if we can look at our agendas and go, maybe that's possible in May for something. If not, we will have to float out some extra dates for that standpoint. So we will get working on that so that we can schedule those sometime in May. Prior to the May board meeting, so that if there is a decision in May, we can move this at the May board meeting. If not, we still do have June that we could act at the facility finance and have further conversation if for some reason we need to. But I do feel like from a time standpoint, we ought to, if at all possible, approve this in May or June, so that for the summer, the firm is
Yep.
I agree.
in
Yep,
place.
locked in place.
Right, that's obviously less of a concern if it's Dewey, but if it's one of the other 3, they would need time to be able to hand projects off and be here for the summer as Dewey's finishing from that standpoint.
Just to
Okay?
clarify, May 13th is the board meeting.
It's early.
It is early, correct. So
Just
we'll
wanted to
start,
clarify,
yep,
That's why I wanted to look again.
yep. We'll start looking at dates,
Okay.
all right, and try to get them in
13
prior.
is Monday?
Yes.
And are we
Yes.
going to
Yeah.
say, if you want to have, if you have to come to all of them, or we don't, how are we going to allow people to give their input? Like
Was it
with
one
the
to 10?
attorneys, it was the people who came
Right.
and saw everyone,
Right.
so we're gonna say that for this as well.
So to vote, to have an overall opinion, you have to be there for all of them? Is that what we're
Yeah.
in agreement with amongst ourselves?
Well, I mean,
Is
we
a
can-
recording appropriate?
We can say that, but then everybody gets a vote at the board table.
I know,
So
I know.
They do, but,
I know.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
or I guess what comes out.
What- you-
well, we
you're not
told
allowed to
people
vote on
that-
It's who we're, no, it's
You weren't there.
And I
That's
don't
not
mean
what I'm
that.
saying.
I mean,
For the
I know
attorneys,
what
we
you
did
who
say
we,
something.
who
Either
we
come to all
decide
of
to
them
move
or don't.
forward, right.
Yeah, like, yeah, who we
Okay.
decide to move forward, that's the,
That makes
Okay.
sense now.
Okay.
you can't move someone
Right.
forward.
Mr.
Any
Harper,
last-
thank you. That
Thank you,
that-
Mr.
That is
Harper.
an awful lot of work, Mr.
Yes.
Dahlberg. That is an
It's a
awful
big
lot
pile
of work.
of
Thank
That
you.
was a lot of
Documents.
math.
So,
Okay.
No
All right,
alphabetical order.
and that brings us to public comment. Any public comment?
I wasn't going to, I swear.
Mr. Loeffler,
I know I don't work here anymore,
do I have to read you the rules of the
but
engagement?
I'll try not to repeat.
7:45.
All right,
So yeah, real quick, there was an $8,000 PA system in that white cabinet, so we can hear back here, all right?
Bravo.
Thank you.
Mr. Loeffler, there's a microphone on that, if you would like to turn it on and speak into it.
I
You'll
think
need to
you
turn
guys
it
can
on.
hear me, I have a voice like this.
Yeah, we
Going
had the
back
same feeling.
to, some of the references, and I agree with most. Crabtree, check the references. Barry Isaac, check the references.
They're out.
oh, you said so.
Reynolds,
Don't
check their references.
They're out.
Okay, 20 years I've been doing it.
Yep.
Okay, when you interview, all right, so about 5 years ago, we did this. I mean, you may not know, but we did this, and we had with 30 people, we had 6 or 7 we interviewed, and, you know, the results came out the same. One one thing I want to say, if you're going to interview a bunch of people, KCBA, Jay, a great interviewer. He'll sell you the moon, all right? So you got to be careful of what you're interviewing for and what you like.
And we're cool.
I know you did, yeah. So, I mean, Jay's a great guy, but when KCBA grabs big projects, who do they hire? A lot of times, Dewey for project manager, right?
Exactly.
They had a different project manager here with this building. Comment made about there should have been more architects involved over the years. The only architect that really should have been involved was with this building, because it's a building. That's when you get architects involved. The only time we did really get an architect involved was that building. We did have to get an architect to sign off on the field house. And Dewey does MEPs, roofing, plumbing, electrical, heating. Architects don't know that much about that as an engineering firm. That's why, as Kelly was saying, that's your projects. It's windows, it's heating, it's even cosmetics. It's an engineering firm. It's not an architect. An architect's going to have to hire a project manager. Dr. Bolton, could you go back to the slide for the alarm system? I just couldn't see back here. I had a comment. If I could just see real quick. That's kind of what I thought. So my guess is, my recommendation or my thoughts are that Averell is the only company on there that we've worked with a lot and usually gives us pretty good prices. So my guess is that Mike was probably extremely busy with all these projects these guys are doing this summer. And I don't think hit the pavement's hard on this one because one, that system was a number 3, say in the priorities 6 years ago. So it's just worked its way up to time to do it and not be, again, a Simplex partner. I would actually throw that bid away and rebid it next year and have Mike and Kelly work on it harder. Being Ace isn't in there and some other local guys we've dealt with, and maybe you didn't get to talk to Simplex that much, those prices are just, I think, out of order. And you can wait a year is my impression. Or you can take it another step, ask Mike or even Kelly could grab Simplex or run up there and say, tell me, do I have 2 more years out of this unit? Something like that. But staying with Simplex I think is very important. So, just like Peter said, I just got back from a 737 and it flew very nicely. And we made it on 11-hour trip.
The ones that were grounded down there.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, so we will close the facilities meeting and take a 2-minute bio break.